Welcome to Trainz! Hello there, friends, and welcome to Trainz. My name is Kevin. I'm here with Andrew today, and we're going to talk about an interesting hobby that I think you'll like. So, Andrew, I'm treating you as my subject matter expert in this hobby here. Can you explain a little bit of what we've got here?
So what we've got in front of us is an Armored Core 30-minute mission kit.
Okay.
So these are one of Bandai's more simpler kits as far as like being able to build them in kind of like an afternoon, you know, having something that's really nice and detailed but doesn't require as much work compared to some of their master grades or their perfect grades especially.
Okay.
It's just a fun little kit to be able to bring some of the models that you enjoy from different series to life pretty much, so they can be your own. This kit in particular, this is the Nightfall Orbiter Raven. So
okay.
In most of the Armored Core games, Raven is kind of just a catch-all term for anybody who pilots an Armored Core.
Okay.
But in the 6th game, it actually kind of became more of an inherited title. So most Armored Core pilots are just pilots in general, but then they kind of have this, I don't know, like they're kind of like their own independent organization where they have a pilot titled Raven, and they are supposed to be symbolic of somebody who fights and chooses their own will and their own battles rather than fighting for somebody else.
So kind of like a Ronin.
Yeah, more or less.
Samurai type of thing.
Very, very similar as far as like their kind of mentality and their position within the greater universe goes.
Okay.
And so this one in particular, you actually steal his title and call sign of Raven at the beginning of the game. And later on, they show up to basically see what you're all actually about. So this guy is an opponent, Raven, and technically the previous holder of the title, who you then defeat and pretty much cement yourself as the new Raven after him.
Let's crack open this box and we'll take a look at what all comes inside and just how not difficult this is.
Sounds good.
If you're looking for this guy on our website, the SKU is P12704655. It's the Bandai 2724573. That's their title. 1 to 144 scale Orbiter Nightfall / Raven. And prices for this guy, $40.20 at time of filming. But in general, from the low 20s and up. So definitely a broad price range and pretty affordable, all things considered.
Oh yeah, no, my wallet's definitely happy buying these compared to some of the other hobbies that I've gotten into over the years.
But let's take a look and see what all we have inside.
Alrighty. So this one is one of the more complex kits.
Okay.
So it definitely comes with a couple extra sprues compared to the average one. So it looks like there's about 4 in there.
And for those of you not familiar, a sprue is basically this scaffolding that holds all of the individual pieces, and you kind of nip them off to assemble. So if you've ever built a Walther's kit, which I've tried many times and failed, same kind of thing.
All right. They also have inside this bag in particular a couple decals.
Oh, nice.
And depending on the kit, they'll either be water slide or adhesive. Usually the more complex the kit is, they'll start bringing out the water slides. If you're getting like a simple high grade or a super deformed, they'll usually be adhesives. And lastly, the most important thing, the assembly manual. Most of the instructions, they only basically are just pictograms. You know, they'll have the pieces themselves like labeled like what sprue and what number piece we're going off of. But then as far as assembly goes, they'll just have like arrows and show, all right, put these two together this way and you're good to go.
Okay, so there's no, you don't have to know Japanese or anything like that in order to follow the instructions. Oh, because it does have some English here as well.
Yeah, depending on some of the kit series that you get, you know, they will have some English on them. I think Armored Core did not gangbusters here, but you know, they've got a decent amount here, so they'll usually kind of have like some English on here compared to some of the other Bandai kits that I've built, which are purely in Japanese.
Okay. But yeah, with the pictograms, it seems this little sequence here talking about how to assemble the head, it tells you what sprue to start from, which pieces, how to put them together. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps, and then you're done. So that's not too crazy.
Yeah, no. Some of these 30-minute mission kits you can definitely complete like just in the casual afternoon after work. You know, you get home, eat a little bit of food, unwind for a moment, then just kind of go to town.
So
before bed.
30-minute mission, is that based off of a playstyle in the game? Is that like the brand name for this difficulty level of kit, or?
So that is actually the brand name for this difficulty level of the kit. So most often with the Bandai Gundam kits, they kind of follow a progression of like high grade, real grade, master grade, perfect grade.
Yeah.
And they got super deforms and stuff like that. So the 30-minute missions actually is usually where their kind of like non-Gundam stuff goes.
Okay.
And they are intended to be like a simpler kit as far as the amount of steps necessary to build them goes, but the amount of detail that goes into them is a bit higher. So they're kind of comparable to real grades from true Gundam kits. Like duplicated pieces like the arms or the legs, they'll usually have like a ×2 on the thing themselves. So you actually basically just do the same steps twice.
Nice.
So we're going to start off with the 11s on the B1 and B2.
Okay.
And using the nippers, usually, you know, whenever I have like extra tools on me, I will actually take the time to cut through at a higher base and then kind of snip off the end pieces closer to the bottom.
Okay.
But considering these ones are nicer than the ones I have at home, should be able to do a little bit of better of cutting here.
So the sprue cutters or nippers, that's definitely, you say that's your most important tool for assembling kits like these?
One of the most important. Having a good pair of sprue cutters basically will not put as much stress on the plastic when you are cutting it. And that allows you to save yourself from some of the little white spots that you'll get from the plastic getting stressed.
Gotcha.
And the recommendation I've seen from people much better than myself is to get a pair of single-bladed nippers, which is what we have here.
Okay.
Because they apply even less stress to plastic. And whenever you have like a tight little bit like this, you know, you can cut a little bit higher up and then trim off the nub off the piece itself.
Okay.
So you got the B1 and B2, 11 and 12 pieces from the B1 sprue.
Okay.
Basically, you just kind of line them up with the way that the picture shows.
Okay.
And snap them together. And I think this my favorite part about these kits is the fact that they don't take any glue, actually.
That's one of the things that got me interested in this in the first place and wanting to learn more about it, is that you don't need glue. For a lot of these, you don't need paint. And since I suck at gluing and I suck at painting, that's like, oh, hey, if I can not do those two things, that's awesome.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's basically the start of the shoulder.
Okay.
To allow you to be able to sit that into the body piece, and then this goes out to extend to the rest of the arm.
And that was literally just a couple pieces of plastic nipped off the sprue, put together, no glue, no sanding, no nothing.
Yeah, no, it's that simple. People make dioramas. There's competitions people will make for builds. So basically just like a completed build, how well did you get the paint on there? Have you used decals, all sorts of things, or if you have a diorama set up. And then there's posing competitions that people will do where it's basically who can create the best action shot or what have you for the kit to basically look more interesting. And sometimes they'll have like a cool category and then they'll have like a fun category. Like I've seen somebody make a Gundam where it's basically like sitting on the toilet reading a newspaper. You know, there is like a Reddit page for people who build Gunpla specifically. So they have like the main Gundam subreddit for the show, and then the Gunpla subreddit is where people go for just building these kits.
In case you're curious, Gunpla is short for Gundam Plastic Model, right?
It's basically a portmanteau.
Okay. So if you want to be cool, you want to know the lingo, Gunpla, Gunpla. Now you mentioned listening to music while you do this. I have it on good authority that you are in a band. Do you want to give them a shout out while we're putting all this together?
I'll shout out my bandmates. We're actually going through a rebrand right now. So what we are posting under right now is not going to be what we're posting under soon. So shout out Jason, Spencer, Derek. Love you guys. You guys are awesome. Can't wait for our new stuff to come out. So at this point, the instructions will usually deviate to be a right and a left. Okay. So these pieces themselves will kind of function as an anchor for the more mirrored pieces to kind of fall into place. But the Armored Core kits, they usually kind of have a little bit more variety to the colors that they present, especially when they are actual named characters like V4 Rusty, the Milktooth kit, or this Orbiter Raven kit that we have here. Compared to some of the high grades that I've worked on from just classic Gundam shows, those will only have maybe, I want to say like 5 different colors, like they'll have like the white, the gray for the underframe, and then maybe like a red and a blue here and there. But with these, they kind of go a little bit more in depth with the colors that they offer to you.
That's true, because I certainly, when I was looking at all these different kits that were available, seeing if there's something that I wanted to try, the traditional Gundam kits were definitely very brightly colored.
Yeah. And that's really what kind of sold me on Armored Core first, was just, I always appreciate a little bit of bleakness to my media, and these definitely kind of hit the spot for me. I've seen some people where they will take a kit and then they will snap off the arm entirely and then introduce wires to where the arm piece was, and basically look like the arm got ripped off in combat, and then there's now exposed wiring.
Gotcha.
Some of the other ones that people do, they'll light them on fire, they'll blow up firecrackers near them. I've seen one guy take a drill bit basically straight to a shield and made it look like there were these giant missile holes that were inside it.
Oh my gosh.
Possibilities are really endless when it comes to these. That was my first kit I ever built, so I was like, I want to try everything. I built the whole kit, and then I sat there, I primed the whole thing, I sat there and I painted the whole thing. And I finished the product and I looked at this and I was like, wow, I did such a terrible job. This is awful. And then I looked at it, it's like, you know what, for $25, I had a lot of fun, and it was fun bringing this kit to life and painting it after the kit not the kit, but the setup that I actually used in game. So mine had an orange arm and I wanted to have one with an orange arm.
Very cool.
Yeah, it was a blast regardless. So, even with it being something that, I'm not necessarily proud of as far as the outcome is, it's still, I don't feel terrible that I did, because I still know that I'm not that deep in the hole from it, and the experience itself was fun learning the whole process.
If you were an older fellow in the railroad hobby and you wanted to connect with your children or grandchildren, this would be an interesting way to get them involved in a hands-on hobby without having to go immediately into, let's figure out glues and painting and sanding and, building jigs so that everything is lined up properly. It seems like a good way to kind of dip your toe into taking, a kit of a variety of different pieces and ending up with a functional, posable, good to play with model. I guess the only danger is that you might end up with a Gundam or an Armored Core on your train layout attacking Grand Central Station. All right, so here we have one that you completed earlier. So tell me about this guy.
So this is the kit for V4 Rusty's Steel Haze Ortus. Okay. So I know that's a lot of words. Basically, Steel Haze Ortus is this particular Armored Core, and V4 Rusty is the pilot who controls him. So this is a named character. For somebody like a beginner like me to make something that looks this cool, it feels really nice, and I had a lot of fun building them too.
Well, this has been really cool. I mean, it certainly seems like something I'm gonna have to try. Use that employee discount. Actually, speaking of discounts, we are offering a limited time discount, Bandai 10, okay? BANDAI 10. And it'll give you 10% off one purchase of a Bandai product from Trainz.com. So if you're interested in dipping your toe into this hobby, you can do it with a little bit of a price savings. Any recommendations you could give to our folks out there if this is the first thing that they're trying out, if they're trying to look at what would be a good model to start with?
So my recommendation, if you're just starting out, it doesn't have to be an Armored Core 30-minute mission kit. That's what I started out with. And, it was simple enough to where I really didn't run into any issues besides losing pieces of my carpet. However, if you are more privy to Gundam as a TV series and you want to get into that, I'd highly recommend starting with a high-grade kit. The master grades and the real grades usually kind of have a bit more detail involved with them. And, if you're experienced with modeling, you could go ahead and jump into one of those. However, if you've never done anything before, a high grade is a great place to start. They have a nice level of detail while still being relatively fairly simple, while not being so boring that you are not going to have fun at all.
Gotcha. And then as far as tools, having the nippers and some glass files would be good things to start out with.
Yeah, I think that is like the only two tools I would just like flat out recommend you need to have. If you want to go above and beyond, some sanding sponges are really good for surface prep if you are going to get involved in painting. If you want to get involved in painting at all, I usually recommend starting with the water-based acrylics. They are simple enough and non-toxic to be able to work with. Good.
Sounds like a pretty easy way to get started. Not too many tools that you'd have to buy. If you've been making railroad kits, you probably already have some nippers at hand and tweezers. So you might not even have to buy anything special to get started. It definitely seems like a really cool hobby to try out. And, everybody's talking about neuroplasticity as being important as you're trying to keep your mental health up. So getting engaged in something with the hand-eye coordination, the spatial awareness, the patience and the focus, that definitely seems like a winner. If you're wondering why I have all these big phrases ready to go, it's because I may have used them to attempt to justify purchases in the past.
Anything you need, right?
It's like, hey, this is really important for my mental health development. I totally need this kit, this toy, this new hobby.
Having gone through 8 in the span of 3 months, I'd say I really found my zen working on these, and that's kind of my justification for these. It's just
there we go,
reaching a level of peace, coming and building these all together.
There you go. Buy a nice violent war machine, build it, achieve peace.
Exactly.
Well, thank you again, Andrew, for being here and walking us through it. You make it look very easy, but it's very well labeled out. The instructions are very clear, very much a step-by-step kind of thing. It reminds me a little bit of Lego.
Yeah, it's pretty much what I started off with as a kid, and this is just my adult version.
So, very cool. We've got plenty of Bandai kits here at Trainz.com. You can search by just putting Bandai in the search bar, or you can go to the Toys and Hobbies category and search by brand name. And we've got tons of them. We've got the Armored Core 6, we've got Gundam, we've got all sorts of interesting things for you to try out. So until next time, have fun.
Trainz.com, making dreams come true, one train at a time.